Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Elly Twineyo Show, in which show we bring you ideas that matter on areas of development, exporting basics, family businesses, and the society. In the previous episode, we discussed why you should export. In other words, the benefits of exporting. I told you then that we would look at the risks, because like any business, there will be benefits, but there could be challenges. Risks could be actual, but they can also be potential. So today we are looking at the risks involved in export business. One of the risks we can look at is the issue of currency exchange, because you are dealing in export, you are dealing in different currencies. Sometimes if you are exporting to several countries, you will have different currencies in which you are trading. Sometimes you enjoy foreign exchange gains, but other times you will suffer losses. Sometimes one of the currencies may go way down and you lose money. So you need to be aware of this. And let me mention that one of the solutions, how we address this, we call it hedging. In international business, we can do hedging, whereby you guarantee price for a certain period of time. We have other risks like credit risks. Some companies you are selling to may not pay back, or they may pay you too late, which will have affected your performance, which will have affected your business, which will have affected your sales. You need to be aware of this, and some of the companies that export, they deal on what we call open account. Open account is whereby you send your products to the buyer until he has sold or she has sold or it has sold the products. You don't get money back. You don't get your payment. You don't get your sales back. So you need to be aware of this as well. But also language. Language barrier can be a challenge. And that's why you companies need to have a team of experts who also understand language. Language is important in labeling. Language is important in branding. Companies have had challenges in export marketing or international business because of language. And we can look at a few examples. In China, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, you know Pepsi and Coca-Cola, these are competitors all the time. They were trying to penetrate the Chinese market with their different products, with their different brands. Coca-Cola tried to penetrate, but as you know, language is an issue. Trying to translate English to Mandarin became a challenge for Coca-Cola. It also did for Pepsi. That even whenever they translated, whenever the people in China looked at the translation, whenever the people in China looked at Coca-Cola labeling, it sounded like you have a lot of wax in your mouth, or a mouth thirsty with candle wax. It was not right. With time, they improved it actually, and once they improved it, now they made sure it sounded like joyful tastes and happiness. Pepsi also, actually theirs was also worse, because it sounded like you are bringing our ancestors out of the grave, because Coca-Cola's campaign was "Come alive with Pepsi." It sounded like "Come alive out of the grave," you know, "Come alive out of the grave," which sounded like you are bringing our ancestors out, and we don't want these ancestors to come back. There are many examples. I can talk of General Motors also with language. General Motors had a brand called Nova, and they were trying to sell it in Spain. In Spanish, Nova means no go. So why would you buy a vehicle? Why would you buy a car which says that no go? You are scared. This could be very dangerous. This could mean it could cause accidents. So they had to change this over time. There are many examples we can look at. So be aware that language can be a risk, can be a challenge when you are trying to penetrate export markets, international markets. Related to language barriers is what we call cultural and business practices. In every market influenced by culture, the business practices are different. So don't assume that the way you have been trading, selling, dealing in your local market will be the same way you will be dealing in the international market. And you can get a lot of challenges. And I know that there were failures at the beginning when Walmart, an American company, tried to penetrate the Japanese market. There were challenges for Home Depot, which is also an American company, trying to penetrate the Japanese market. China has got this cultural sensitivity, what we call the Chinese hand. You need sometimes a Chinese person to be in your company, to be seen as the face of your company. That is what we call the Chinese hand, so that your company is perceived as being Chinese. So be aware of the cultural and business practices affecting your business. Of course, that is not the only challenge that you will be facing, but I can personally give you an example about the issue of culture and business practices. Long ago when I was in Cairo, in Egypt, I visited an office in which there was a lady who was the boss and a gentleman who was the deputy. So they accompanied me down the stairs to the steps, and when we reached there, I tried to shake the hands. The way we do it globally, we think that when you're saying, oh, thank you, you want to shake hands of your partner, of your business partner. I tried to shake the hands of the lady first, the gentleman grabbed the hand. I tried again to say thank you to the lady. The gentleman grabbed my hand the second time, and then I understood it. Then I understood that she was fully dressed in a Muslim attire, and she was Muslim, and the culture and religion are together fused, and you have to be aware of it when you are doing business in different places. Eventually I said, thank you all, thank you for hosting me, and I walked away. But I was sweating. I was actually sweating because I had done a bad thing. So the other factors that you should be concerned about also with regard to international marketing is the issue of compliance. Compliance to the laws, to the policies in the country where you are trying to sell your products outside of your country. You will find sometimes that these laws are rigid, these policies are rigid, but you have to comply. Because if you don't comply, you will not sell in these markets. Because countries have their rules and regulations, and you are not going to break them just because you have a good product anyways. The other aspect that we should look at is also the aspect of adaptation costs. Adaptation costs. When you try to sell products in another market, be aware of adaptation. You have to adapt to the market with regard to the product. This is what we call the right product. The right product will be in terms of quality and quantity. And I always use this example of still water. Still water, as we know it globally, is sometimes sold in 500 milliliters. But some jurisdictions want it in 250 milliliters. Others want it in 450 milliliters. You have to adapt that. You have to change the packaging. You have to change the labeling. You have to change the branding sometimes. Because, again, to do with the labeling and packaging and branding, you sometimes have to change the language. For example, that's why our show is in several languages. We have it in English, we have it in Spanish, we have it in Portuguese, we have it in Arabic, and we are trying to have it in Spanish, because we are trying to reach different places and it changes. So these are some of the key challenges, the key risks that you need to be aware of, but that should not discourage you from exporting. Ladies and gentlemen, you should know that exporting is important, but we are telling you to be aware of the risks and you can mitigate them. You can mitigate them. We invite you to watch our show every Friday, because this show is made for you.